Hey, what is up guys? How are we doing? And welcome back to another video. Now today I want to talk to you about phones because I've got my personal Samsung Galaxy Note 4. Been using this for around 2 to 3 years, so it's definitely time for an update. It doesn't help the fact that it's been heavily updated and ruined by the manufacturer because the battery life is absolute toilet. The phone constantly crashes, restarts and black screens whenever I actually want to use it. But I've been a little bit unsure what to upgrade to, and I don't have the luxury of reviewing every single phone that comes out. So hopefully this is going to be quite relatable to you because I want to give you my verdict on what phone I'm actually going to buy this year. And the reason this has come about is because LG very kindly sent me out their G6, their latest and greatest flagship smartphone that aims to be the best phone in the world. But have they succeeded in doing so? Is it a good phone? And am I going to go out and buy one? Well, to answer that question, it all starts with a closer look at the device itself, which I think is a really impressive bit of kit. It looks fantastic. It's got a single unibody design, so gone is the modularity of the G5, but you're replaced with something that looks a lot better, is nicer to hold, and it has a level of water resistance as well, as it's IP68 water resistant, so you can stick it in a pool of water up to 1.5 meters deep for around about 30 minutes, and you don't have to worry about it getting damaged. You will notice that the underside of the phone features USB-C, which is of course reversible, and the whole thing supports the latest quick charge tech as well, so it will charge up very quickly indeed. If you haven't already noticed though, then it's got a slightly funny aspect ratio. The screen is a little bit of a strange size. This is because it's a taller display than normal. It's got an 18:9 aspect ratio rather than the 16:9 aspect ratio that you are normally used to. And this gives you some extra height, so when you're browsing web pages or Instagram, it actually means you can fit more on the screen, and it's actually something that I think is a really nice addition because it means that you can have a bigger screen that is still easy to fit in one hand. And swapping from the Note 4 to this, it definitely was a lot easier to use, although because I'm so used to having that width, it still did feel a little bit small, but I'm sure this is a problem that most people certainly won't have. Move to the back of the phone and you'll notice that it's a glass finish. This looks really nice. I think it looks expensive, it looks luxury, but it's very prone to fingerprints, and as you're going to be constantly reaching for that fingerprint sensor, it's going to get a little bit greasy. The sensor itself though is also the power button, so you can quickly trigger your phone on and off just by reaching around the back of the phone, which is quite natural because that's how you pretty much will hold the phone anyway. And the fingerprint sensor works most of the time. There's a few times it won't get it, but this is either because you've not got your finger correctly on the sensor or because it is a little bit greasy. Not really that much of a problem, generally speaking pretty good. There's also two cameras on the back. One is a wide angle and then one is a more zoomed in standard lens. This gives you a lot of flexibility when you're out in the field, and it's something that I really like about this phone. The side of the phone though, there are only two buttons. These are volume buttons on the left hand side of the device. It is very thin, it's very comfortable as well as a result, and the sort of curvature of the edges as well does make it fit nicely in the hand. The top of the phone features the headphone jack, and I would rather this was at the bottom because it's easier to put headphones in when you're sticking it in your pocket like that, but it's something you can get used to and it's not a majorly big deal. On the right hand side of the device, there's not really anything here at first glance, other than the fact that you can take off one of these sections to actually insert a micro SD card as well as your nano SIM. And then around the bottom is that USB-C that we've already mentioned, as well as a single speaker that doesn't sound fantastic, and it's very easy to cover up with your finger when you're holding the phone, but this is just a result, unfortunately, of having waterproofing, though it would be nice to have some form of stereo speakers applied in the device. As far as the quality of this screen goes, I was expecting to be a little bit disappointed here because it doesn't use an OLED panel, it uses an LCD. Fortunately though, I needn't have worried because the blacks are actually very black, contrast levels are very good, and it's a very vivid screen. Note that there was a defect in my model that I've got. I'm not really sure what this was, and obviously I would have sent this back if this was not a loan review unit where there is a black dot on the screen, which is pretty disappointing to see. But other than that, I've not really got anything bad to say about it. It supports HDR as well, so HDR10 and Dolby Vision, both of which are HDR standards, and with support from people like Netflix, coming to the phone in the coming days, we'll be able to watch HDR content on the go, which would be pretty good. And if you don't know what HDR is, it stands for high dynamic range, and it should give you slightly better color vibrance and should give you a greater level of contrast between the blacks and the whites. In practice, it just makes your image look that little bit better. So that's everything you need to know about the phone from a design point of view, but what's this thing actually like to use? Well, I've already mentioned that it fits nicely in one hand, which definitely helps when you're out and about and you actually want to get something done. It does run the latest version of Android, which is Android Nougat, which gives you access to better battery life optimization and things like the Google Assistant that can be used to have a more conversational based conversation with your AI. So if you want it to book you a table, it can sort of do it in steps rather than you having to ask it a very precise thing in the first place, which is pretty damn cool. Performance, generally speaking, is very slick. I haven't noticed any problems so far. But having said that, it's not rocking the fastest chip in the world. The Samsung Galaxy S8 does have a better chip in it. This only has a Snapdragon 431. But realistically, I think it's going to come down to more software optimization because performance between the two chips is going to be quite similar. Both the S8 and this feel pretty much identical at the moment. Whether they still will in a year's time, well, only time will tell. But regardless of what I've been using this phone for, I've been really happy with the performance. Everything is nice and fluid, regardless of whether it's just scrolling down Instagram and the photos just infinitely keep coming, or playing a game with things like Lara Croft Go. I've not really noticed anything wrong with it, which I guess is what you're looking for, right? And in terms of battery life as well, the phone seemed to have lasted me all day without any problems. With a battery of 33 milliamp hours, it's not the largest out there, but for a screen this size it should be okay. Obviously you can't replace the battery yourself, so make no mistake, if you have this phone for a year, 2 years, the battery life will not last you a day. I can almost guarantee that later down the line, but at the moment it's going to last you a day without too much of a big deal unless you're really heavily hammering the phone, but then of course you can quickly charge it up with the quick charge technology. But of course there's one more big thing to talk about, and that is the camera quality of this device. There's a total of 3 cameras, with the front-facing selfie camera that's going to be absolutely fine for taking a selfie, but is not really going to be the best thing out there as it's only 5 megapixels. But moving around to the rear where we've got those 2 main cameras, the wide angle camera and then of course that normal portrait style camera, both of which do a very good job and handle dynamic range in the scene very, very well. I think all the pictures that they have taken have been excellent, and I love the flexibility of being able to pick between the 2 cameras, and it's something that I will really miss going forward if I don't have an LG G6 in my life. Video quality is also pretty good, but it should be noted that there is no stabilization in 4K mode, so the clip you're about to see is 1080p with the stabilization turned on. So this is the video quality outside, bright sunny day with the wide angle camera. Now the clever thing is you can actually change to the zoom camera at any time. Just tap the button and then you will zoom in. Just like that. Overall I think the video quality is actually quite good. I mean, obviously it's not going to compete with a professional camera, but for something that's in your pocket at all times, I think it's actually pretty damn good. And so, there you go, the LG G6. A phone that I think definitely is worth buying if you're after the right sort of features. If you value having a curved display that looks amazing and is going to impress everyone, then obviously you should be looking at the S8. But if you want something that maybe is a little bit smaller, something that fits in your hand almost perfectly, at least to me, and something that has that flexibility with the wide angle camera, then the LG G6 is a solid shout. And personally, I would pick it up if it wasn't for the fact that I'm a little bit too inquisitive and I really want to see what Google are going to do with their Pixel, and I want to see what the Pixel 2 is going to look like. And personally, while I think that the LG software is quite light on this phone, I'm still more someone that is looking to get a stock phone this time, so either an iPhone or the Pixel, because I think that there's less chance of updates going wrong, as this is definitely something that has happened to both Samsung and LG phones in the past. But if you're looking to pick up a phone right now, I think my personal advice would be, if you're wanting to buy something outright, look at the OnePlus 3T. Or if you're on a contract or you want to go on a contract, then either the S8 or the LG G6 are both really good options It's just more a case of what you value more, I guess. So that's been this video. Let me know if it's been useful. What do you think of the G6? Is it a phone that you would want to pick up, or is it something that you really wouldn't want to pick up? Let me know. A massive thank you to everyone for watching this video. Thanks to LG, of course, for actually supplying this review sample before I lose all my words entirely. Subscribe for more videos just like this and some on gaming and PC stuff as well. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.